Uh, problem with being an attractive male, especially today in 2026. When I tell you the amount of projection that you are going to receive from individuals that you've never even spoken to a day in your life, these people don't know you from a can of paint. They don't know nothing about you. You know, this doesn't only go for attractive males, just attractive people in general. I guess people that are considered conventionally attractive. Um, Man, people are gonna put all types of titles on you, man. I've heard all types of things about me from people that I've never even spoken to personally. The most crazy assumptions, you know. And the thing is, you see, when you're attractive, people have a disposition to kind of believe whatever they hear about you because everyone knows the stereotype that, an attractive dude is a douche and an attractive girl is a bitch. She's a hoe. And a lot of the times that's far from the case. Sometimes that is the case. But that has nothing to do with looks. I know ugly people who are the most miserable people that I've ever came across. And I know very attractive individuals, right? That are um the most empathetic, so attractiveness has nothing to do with your character as an individual. But so that's number one is the projection. Number two is the hostility. Boy, are people hostile. You know, sometimes I could walk into a room, right? And I could just be like super respectful. I try to be respectful to everyone. I try to give everyone the benefit of the doubt when I first encounter them. Hello, how's your day going? Just be respectful. I'm not gonna be buddy buddy with you because there's boundaries, right? Everyone should have boundaries. It's a normal thing, right? You would think so. No. Um, so maybe you walk into an establishment and right off the bat, these folks don't even give you a chance. I'm telling you, man. Right off the bat, they're already, what do you want? Oh, yeah. Like, not even speaking to you or completely. That's going to be my third point. Yeah. But just being super passive aggressive, maybe even saying little jokes. And I'm going to get into that next. Um, but just very passive aggressive, hostile behavior. All right. Number three is ignoring you. Right? Anything. I'm telling you, anything to try to get under your skin, right? To change your character, right? To just get you out of position, right? Ignore you. You might be in a group of individuals, right? You might be in a work setting. Listen to me. If this individual is literally talking to everyone, you haven't given them, any um you haven't given them any reason for them to be ignoring you or hostile. You're just trying to do what you're supposed to do, right? We're all supposed to live, make money, right? Like I said, no, right? You would think. Yeah, common sense isn't so common. So ignoring you is a way to kind of diminish you, right? Without telling you to your face, right? Telling, they don't want to tell you directly to your face that they have an issue with you. So the second best option is to ignore you, right? So ignoring you is kind of a way of putting you in a box saying, I don't respect you, right? And that's totally fine. You don't have to respect individuals depending on what they do. But if you don't respect this individual literally for no reason, just because maybe they make you feel uncomfortable because you're just insecure within yourself, listen, buddy, you have to look at yourself. That's not a him her problem. That's a you problem. You got to fix that internally. That has nothing to do with this guy, this girl. That has everything to do with you, right? You're just insecure and you don't want to admit it, right? And that's totally fine if you're insecure. I'm not saying that. But when you're this is gonna be my fourth point, you know. But just ignoring someone, right? Trying to put someone in a box. So fourth point, right, is is joking, right? These little jokes. You know, this is don't pay attention to jokes now. Pay attention to when people joke around. I'm telling you, there's a lot of truth in these jokes, right? Maybe they might laugh at, oh, look at the bodybuilder coming, right? Even if you're not a bodybuilder, you just like to train, right? And I happen to look like a bodybuilder, thank God. That's just genetics though. And I bust my ass every single day almost for 10 years. 9 years at this point I've been training. I would hope that I look moderately like someone who works out, right? I bust my ass every damn day, right? And it's not even about the looks, it's more about just how I feel, you know? I feel great. It's something that I need in my life. You know, so if you walk into a room, a work setting, like I said, whatever it may be, and someone says, "Oh, look, here comes the bodybuilder." Keep an eye on that individual because they do not like you, I'm telling you. And they're going to do anything in their power to get rid of you. Pay attention to those little jokes. Fifth thing, and ultimately the most important thing, smear campaign. Boy, if none of those prior things don't work, they are going to drag your name through the mud. Let me tell you, they are going to drag your name through the mud. You understand? If none of those things provoked you, right? They couldn't get you out of character, right? They couldn't get you mad with the jokes, right? They couldn't get you mad with any of these things, with them ignoring you, right? So their last thing is to smear your name, right? If people can't point something out in you, right? You're very elusive. You're hard to kind of figure out just because you pay attention to yourself. You're not minding anyone's business but your damn own, right? You're not trying to be elusive, right? But you're doing what you're supposed to do as a man, a woman, whatever it may be. This is more for the males, but regardless, I know a lot of women. I've talked to women that go through the same exact thing. Attractive males go through the same exact thing that attractive women go through a lot of the time. But it's just not talked about, right? It's kind of taboo. Smear campaign. If none of those things work, they're going to create a lie, right? This is very narcissistic, and I've dealt with this countless of times already, a handful of times. But yeah, if they can't kind of get you to react in the way that they see fit to be like, I told you so, right? I told you so. I told you he was like that. I told you she was like that, right? They're going to create a lie, and they're going to try to isolate you, right? Because you already don't give a fuck. You don't care to kind of express or, you know, to justify or whatever they're saying or not, right? You don't need to be here defending yourself if you're not that type of individual. If you're attractive and you're kind of quiet at the same time, I've learned that is a recipe for disaster. You could be quiet, but have boundaries and let it be known. It's going to make some people uncomfortable, but let it be known. You have to have boundaries. If you're attractive and you're kind of quiet, you know, kind of reserved, not even about being quiet, you're just reserved. You've seen the other side of human nature. You see how miserable people could be, right? And they kind of project that onto you. So you're just reserved. You're reserved with who you associate with. You're reserved with where you work. You're reserved with the friends that you pick, with the relationships, even with family, with everything, food, everything. You know, when you've seen the other side of human nature, it changes you. It changes the way that you approach relationships, everything, right? So if none of these things work, they're going to lie on your name. And when that doesn't work, that's it. They have no bait to kind of, you know, catch on to. That's it. Then people are going to start seeing through their little games. And this is a whole process. And I've just accepted that this is something that I'm going to have to deal with my whole entire life, right? Because this kind of started at the age of 17, 18, very slowly, moderately. But as the years progressed, I'm 25 now, it's progressively gotten more and more clear. And some would say worse, but that's just perspective. You know, it's not worse because now I have eyes to see. and ears to listen, right? And ears to hear. So I know from a mile away, this person is trouble. Or these individuals, this group is trouble. And it's not cynical, right? It's not cynical to be aware of your surroundings, right? And don't make people feel like, oh, you're too aggressive or this and that, just for being aware of what's right in front of you, right? So that's 5 things, that you're gonna deal with, especially as an attractive male. This is just for attractive people in general, but mostly for my males because it's kind of taboo to talk about this. I'm glad that more men, especially my age, are starting to talk about this because we need to. We need to be calling this stuff out. Because I'm done. I'm sorry. You know, I try to keep my composure, but a lot of us, we are done with this type of behavior. And it's time for us to speak out on it and just set a healthy boundary. I don't want anything to happen to these individuals, nothing, but they need to know. You can't be acting like this, man. Let people live how they want to live, right? I don't force my beliefs on anyone, right? So if you're extroverted, that's cool. That's cool, be extroverted. But don't tell me that being so and so introverted, I'm just aware of my surroundings. I'm just reserved. Don't tell me the way I'm living is wrong, right? I'm a man of God, but that's for another story. So don't let these individuals trick you out of your spot, man.